good friend of mine, Phil Labonte, has asked me many times, where's the off ramp? And when he's talking about that, when he asks me that question, he means, where's the de-escalation path away from physical violence, rhetorical violence, political violence, the escalation of violence? Where is the de-escalatory path? And when Charlie was shot and killed, I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to misquote Phil, but I believe the term was like, he was the off-ramp. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm the off-ramp. You're the off-ramp if you want to be. We are all each capable of becoming an off-ramp of de-escalation. I woke up this morning and I was laying there in my bed and I grabbed my phone and I pulled up Twitter because I was like, I wanted something. I wanted to connect to the world somehow. So I pulled up my phone and I turned it on, and it was a lot of vitriol, a lot of anger, a lot of hate, a lot of screaming, things like people. And it made me think of this 1984, the book, George Orwell. If you haven't read it, you should. It's not a very long book. And in the book, it was basically a book about a totalitarian future where people are like in total control of government surveillance, and they're being used to perpetuate forever war across the ocean. You know, it was sort of some people call it a blueprint, and he had crafted for us to understand, you know, totalitarian governments, and give us a heads up from his perspective about how to see them coming and how to avoid them, and things like that. There's this part in the book where everyone has to experience 20 minutes of hate. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. It's 2 minutes. 2 minutes of hate. In fact, I actually pulled it up. I want to show you here really quick. This is just from Wikipedia, the 2 minutes of hate. In the dystopian novel 1984, which was written in 1949, by George Orwell. Wow, it's right after the liberal economic order got started and Eisenhower warned us about it, or right there, right when it was happening. Orwell was like, okay, and this is why you got to be careful about a military order. The 2 minutes of hate is the daily period during which members of the outer and inner party of Oceania, that's the name of the country. It's like a vague take on imperialistic, you know, whatever. I think he was a British guy, so it was sort of like a British Empire thing. Just an imperial thing. Must watch a film depicting Emmanuel Goldstein, the principal enemy of the state, and his followers, the Brotherhood, and loudly voice their hatred for the enemy and then their love for Big Brother. Every day. 2 minutes. Make sure that you can snap their brain back to remembering that they hate their enemy. And when I pulled up Twitter, I'm gonna put my face back up full screen. I pulled up Twitter and I got that 2 minutes of hate. A couple years ago, I was like, Dad, please stop watching NBC. Did you guys get your 2 minutes of hate today? I would ask my parents that, and they're like, oh, he's right. Because they knew I was right. Like the electric box that gives you the screaming and shows you what to hate. That's how you control people and make them serve, is through fear. Fear is it's a valid emotion. It's an indicator that something needs to change. But it's important not to let it guide your choices, because it can make people irrational. Fear can. I don't really know what the opposite of fear is. I used to say the opposite of fear was love. Love, it's a very vague phrase. Let me pull up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll keep grabbing at my phone to change the here. I'm going to pull this over because, you know, I used to say fear and love were binaries, but obviously you can break apart what the word fear even means. There's probably lots of different types of fear, but they've done the work before me. The Greeks were actually into this thousands of years ago about love, and they broke love down to 8 different kinds. I'll read them here. There's erotic love, eros, which is sexual. Passion love. Philia, which is the love of friends. Ludus, it's like a playful, flirtatious love. Agape, which is a love of the community or for everyone or for all of space and time. Pragma, which is like a pragmatic long-standing love that is sort of developed through time and deeds with another. The philautia is your love of yourself. Storg is familial love, love of family. And then mania, which is obsessive love. I've had that for my work. Many CEOs have mania for their work. I actually made the mistake of turning my mania on a woman once. Called her my muse, but it does a lot of that's a very, to obsess over another human is can be very dangerous. Mania, though, it is a form of, and so when I say that love is the opposite of fear, fear is the opposite of love, I don't know. I feel like that's a little too vague. And then I thought, well, is the opposite of fear bravery? I don't know. Kind of depends. Maybe just the word fear has different definitions. Because, no, the opposite of bravery is cowardice. Cowardice can happen if someone lives in fear. So, I suppose for the sake of this conversation, I'll use the word love to indicate the opposite of fear, to live. Because right now, since Charlie got killed last week, I've been sad. I haven't been scared. I was already scared. Either my fear muscles and neurons were burnt out over the last 20 years, or I'm just genuinely not scared anymore about it. I'm kind of like, well, if Charlie's dead, I guess I can be dead too. I mean, what spiritually I don't want to happen is for me to shrink into a place of terror and then become a terrorist because I'm so scared. I would rather have a world where I live in passionate love and goodness and openness and kindness and just keep doing it until I die. And if I'm taken away from this realm because of it, I'd rather be taken away in that state than taken away screaming and hating. There's there's a difference between when people say like, where's the off ramp? That's a genuine question. But to say that there is no off ramp because you can't see it is about as intelligent as an atheist saying, I don't understand what God is, therefore it doesn't exist. I can't see it, so it's not there. Or like when people are taken to like a country and shown around by the government in the country and to the really nice parts of the country. And they're like, I didn't see any violence there when I was there. So there is none. There's no violence in that country. I didn't see any when I was there. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Keep that in mind with the off-ramp of social de-escalative tension or the de-escalation of tension. Just because you can't see the answer doesn't mean that there isn't one. But I think that fear, in this instance, I've had a little concern, and I suppose I've had a little bit of fear, but mostly just reminding me that you need to live and mitigate risk. It's a big part of my existence is risk management and risk mitigation and taking calculated risks, making calculated choices like, okay, well, there's going to be an impact. Maybe, I don't know if I've said this on video in the last week or so. A lot of the last week has been sort of a blur, shockingly. I don't know. Well, I know why, but it's weird to actually experience the blur, even though you know you're supposed to. And then when you're actually blurring, it's like, but you say like, well, I want this thing. It has a 10,000% value, but there's a 33% risk chance of failure. So like a 1 in 3 time that I try this is going to be a fail. That's a lot of risk. I would be like, even though there's a huge value, rolling a die and having a 1 in 3 chance of total of like abject destruction failure, I probably wouldn't take that risk. That's a lot, 33%. But I just do these risk management calculations like, don't do large outdoor events. Alex Jones was just made a video and was like, oh, if I'd been Alex's voice, if I'd been doing college tours for the last year, they'd have shot me. And I just thought like, easy target, out in the open, mitigate risk. Not to the point where you're locked in a steel box and nothing can touch you, but just generally intelligently. Like that's where the fear leads me, is mitigate risk, still live in a state of love, loving compassion. And hey, worst case scenario, literally worst case scenario, well, almost worst case scenario for me would be I stay true to what I believe, that the pillars of virtue are how to build societies. That if this all fell apart and it really did turn into hell on earth with burning everything down, scorched earth, no more electricity, no more water, death, disease, if that happened, at some point in the future, people would recover this and see, oh, now that we have gotten over our bloodlust and we are going to rebuild, that's how we do it. So like we're giving the it's like the Bible. It was like a blueprint for like later after everything fell apart. If someone found that, they could read the morals out of that thing and be like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do to make things work. And then they can do it again. So maybe like videos like this and reminding people like this at the very least will help people in the future after it all falls apart rebuild, because you can't build a society on hate and fear. If people don't trust, like you lock your door but your windows can be shattered. I mean, windows are just glass, yet we have every house on the street has like this flimsy, see-through, easy to break material that you can just, a raging monkey could smash through at any moment, and we live with this sense of trust of our community, our neighbors. And that's how we've built such a thriving society. So, as I said with the MSNBC being the 2 minutes of hate, to my parents so lovingly and remindingly, I reminded myself this morning when I got on Twitter, this is my 2 minutes of hate for the day. I just got it, whether I wanted it or not. And I scrolled and I was like, on some of the posts that were like divisive, left, right, I was like, not interested in this, not interested in this. Last night I thought, I just want to purge my Twitter feed and just have it fresh from the top again? No, not really. It's like, the left-right paradigm, the psyop, the us and them, the others, trying to get people to other each other, the Republican Democrat psyop, making you think that that's all there is these two sides. That's all part of the plan, all part of the game, all part of the psyop, all part of the control, psychological control mechanism of you. And I know it's if it's part of your brain is that things exist in terms of left and right. It comes from the French, when people sat on the left side of the room and the right side of the room. Just a simple general phrasing like we're of the left, we're going to sit on the right, so then they started colloquially referring to themselves as that. But if you find that it's like, because what I think is it becomes so addictive, it becomes so ingrained in how people think that they just, even if they hear and believe it's a bad thing, they'll revert to it and do it anyway because they've been trained, or they've trained themselves to just use that as an easy way for the logical mind to find comfort, to try and to understand things logically. And one of the worst feelings is not understanding. That drives madness. When there's painful experiences, and if you don't understand why, and you can't like just put a finger on it, that can make you mad, which can lead to anger or sadness. And watching a leader break down in sadness, kind of think like, do we really want that guy as a leader if he can't control his emotions? But so you might see them just making up a reason, it's because it's them. Well, who's them? How can you define a leftist? How can you define a rightist? And you'll get different definitions from different people, all which verily indicates that it's not an accurate phrasing type word. Obviously, people have different political values. Of course, we're supposed to. We're not all supposed to be of one mind. That would be horrible. People would be driven off a cliff if we were all of one mind. Well, I think the solution to this 2 minutes of hate is to just not look at the box. I still want to be connected to what's happening on the earth, but the box, and I'm talking about my phone when I'm talking about the box. The box! Or the box, the computer I'm sitting in front of right now. It's a portal into a connection to the universe in one way, but it is a distorted portal. The algorithm pushes stuff to the top that people were rage clicking sometimes. I have this coffee. I haven't even touched it yet. Excuse me. So what I'll do is I'll make coffee. You'll see it right there. Right there. I'll put peanut butter powder, a scoop, in the coffee. And I'll put some coconut water in there. And it becomes like a delicious, almost chocolatey peanut butter milkshake. Coffee peanut butter milkshake. Sweet Sloth 87, thanks for the subscription. I've got my Streamlabs up, and it tells me if someone subscribes to me on YouTube or Twitch. Sweet Sloth 87 just subscribed on YouTube, so you get a shout out in the video that's happening while you subscribed. How meta is that, dude? Time travel. And the box, it doesn't have to indicate 2 minutes of hate. I mean, you can use this thing for 2 minutes of love. But you have to be intentional about where you teleport when you go through this thing, where you portal to, because if you just let it portal you to where it is like the most popular, it will very often, especially in times of trouble, portal you to hate. And then people, if they're not like protective or critical of their thoughts and stuff, might not realize that that's what's happening and just think that that's what's right and what's normal. Screaming hate at the enemy and then being reminded who your leader is. So like obviously one solution is to not do it. Another solution is to intentionally pierce through it. I'm concerned for people I know. I'm concerned that people become the demons that they're trying to destroy. Like a life spent trying to destroy demons is like not a life spent living in love. It's a life spent living in hatred of demons. I don't want to be like that guy. I'm not that guy. I never was. I mean, I have experienced moments of wanting to destroy evil, but I tell you, create good. It's a better antidote to evil. It feels better to make this video than to lay around or to walk around and think about this stuff all day. So it's a good habit to get into, is to get up and to just spurg out. Because in your sleep, especially in the morning too, sometimes, because in your sleep things will recombobulate. That's about all for now.